Hey everyone. More
Hi.
hands. How's it going? Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me. I know by the time the show comes out in December, spooky season will be over, but it feels like we've been living in hell the whole year, so it's still relevant.
2020 is spooky
Season.
season.
2020 is just one spooky season. When Halloween came, I wasn't even shocked. Like sometimes I'm like, yay, it's time to break out my like macabre. And then I was like, this whole year's been macabre.
Yeah. One day it was March, and the next day it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
Yeah. That part. Yeah.
So, my first question is for Lachlan. So, over the past couple of years, Theo's journey has been wild on the show, and his coming out storyline in part two was still groundbreaking and left a lasting impression on a lot of trans, non-binary, and gender diverse folks. I just wanted to know now that the is coming to an end, what have you admired most about Theo, and what are you going to miss most about Theo when December rolls around?
I think that's a great question. I think that impact is something that I admire a lot about Theo. I mean, what is a character other than the actor and the writer and the production coming together? And I think there was a certain level of visibility that we all of those pieces came together to make one very, very visible character. And I think that's a really wonderful thing, and it's something that I know will stick with me for a long time, and I hope sticks with queer television and television in general for a while. But I'm always in awe of how brave the idea of Theo was, and how brave Theo was in and of himself. And I'm sure if he knew that he was being broadcast on national television, he'd think that was pretty cool too.
And you mentioned how a character is a like a collaboration between actor, production, and director and writer. Did you have any input when it came to Theo's storyline over the years, and how collaborative was that process for you? Like to
I had a bit. I always had a feeling that Roberto, our showrunner, cast me for a reason, because when I got cast, we had this long talk about my gender journey and how prepared I was to speak. And so when the time came to use that voice and to speak from my experience, because we had one or two trans writers on our show, but really I was the non-binary one, being like, this is how I would want to see this. And I just had all these fans in the back of my mind, like, I feel like this is what trans people need to hear right now. And so when those moments came, I felt really empowered to speak up. But I think a lot of that was in part to the fans and all the people DMing me and sending me all these messages of like, hey, this character is so inspiring, and the way that this was portrayed meant so much to me, and that just empowered me to speak louder and to fight for those people, because it really felt like these are people who deserve so much, and I know I would have loved to have seen a character like Theo when I was a kid, so it had a lot of power to it that I'm really grateful for.
Oh, Theo will be missed. And
He lives on forever in our hearts, little baby boy, who I ironically misgender all the time. Sorry.
Yeah. And Jazz, same question for you. Roz has been a fan favorite since from the beginning. She's always been a support system for Sabrina and Theo. What do you admire most about Roz, and what are you going to miss most about Roz come December?
I love it when Roz gets on a mission. Whenever I have those scenes where I like come in and I'm like, you guys were doing this, here's why. For me, those were always so fun. Like in the hallway waving the freaking posters like, this is patriarchy, like that kind of stuff was really, really fun for me. So yeah, I love Roz's spunk and her fearlessness and her loyalty and her power. And I really love the way that she comes into that power in part 4 in a real way.
Oh, I can't wait for friends to see it. I'm sure, like I said, they'll miss it, but it'll be a nice way to wrap up a very beloved, iconic series.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, I'm getting the wrap ticket now. Thank you guys again.
Have a good one. Good to see you.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I hope you all are well too. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to me.
Of course.
I was just telling Lachlan and Jazz that even though the show comes out in December and spooky scenes will be over, it feels like we've been living complete hell 2020. So it'll still be
2020 is spooky season.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Of course.
My first question is for Kiernan. So Sabrina is obviously very beloved, and she's one of the TV and comics most iconic characters. And over the past 3 seasons, the past couple of years, she's gone through like a wild ride with her relationships, what's going on, and like now there's two of her running around the timeline. So I was wondering, can you take us over like her journey and like what you admire most about her, and what you'll miss most playing about her now that the finale is on nigh?
Sure. I mean, we meet Sabrina at 16 years old on the night of her 16th birthday, and the amount that she has grown and evolved during this show is so satisfying as an actor. I love playing a character that never settles down, and just keeps trucking ahead no matter the cost.
Mhm.
And what this girl has been through, oh my gosh, within like a year is unbelievable to me. And I just admire her tenacity and her fearlessness. I think that she is just such a badass, and I hope I can carry with me just a shred of her fearlessness and her bravery in my regular life.
Mhm. Hopefully do. And Gavin, same question for you. I feel like as soon as Nick and Sabrina shared the same frame, like fans like automatically started like loving them and shipping them. So what are you gonna miss most about playing Nick, and what do you admire most about him and his journey through these past 3 seasons now, going on to season 4?
You know, with any sort of character that you play, you develop some sort of private personal relationship with. And this has been a long one with Nick. You know, 2 years is a long time to play a character, and it's really fun in a lot of ways. And your psyches start to blend together and sort of become one sometimes. And you know, there's this boldness about Nick and how he leads his life, and how he sort of just does things without the thought of consequences sometimes, which we see the consequences of in part 3. However, there's something to be said about his fearlessness as well. You know, and I'm sure parts of that come alive in discovering his love for Sabrina, and feeling how to live romantically and unabashedly romantic. And I could probably be more romantic in my own life. So, you know, I love all those sides of Nick, and to let him go is a weird thing, but it's been such a freaking fun ride to play him.
Aw. And so besides all the magic, Sabrina was known for being progressive and really inclusive. There were complex female relationships like non-toxic masculinity, queer representation, pansexual representation, polyamorous representation, and all these different identities. But the focus of the show is never on those identities. So I was wondering if you could talk about like the lasting impact you hope Sabrina has on fans in the years to come. We can start with Kiernan.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really, really proud to be a part of a show that puts such a priority on inclusivity. I think that's really important, and I hope that inspired other people to do so as well. I think the thing that I found so inspiring about our show is that there was a lot of representation, but like you said, like that's normal. Like that's the world we live in, and let's make it, you know, all so celebratory and so wonderful and lovely, and instead of looked upon in a certain way. And I thought that was just so absolutely beautiful to be a part of something like that. Sabrina is loving and progressive and cares about people and people's hearts, and what motivates her at all times is kindness and love for others. And I think that if we can assume as much of that in our regular lives, we would all be a little bit better off. So I hope that people are inspired by her, as well as the show and the way that it approaches storytelling.
Yes. Did you have any thoughts on Sabrina's legacy, Kevin?
Yeah, man. I mean, piggybacking off of what Kiernan just said, it's like something that the show does really well is have a strong sense of that openness and people feel more comfortable, it seems, when they can put people in boxes. It's like you can say that they're this or that, and something I think the show does well is just show that there is a spectrum. It's not like everyone can be one thing or the other, and that's just that. It's like there's something really fun about the world where it explores multiple possibilities, and it's creative in the way that it demonstrates that in the show. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Can't wait for friends to see it all wrap up well in the end. I'm getting the wrap signal, but thank you again. Be
Thank
safe.
you so much.
Nice
Yes.
chat.
Happy Halloween.
Good luck.
Happy Halloween.